this year, assuming, knock on wood, he can stay healthy in terms of his total minutes played. But he almost feels new as well. He looked reinvigorated and like a much different version of Jay Crowder in those first 9-10 games, whatever it was early in the season before that injury. And the way that we have seen young players start to emerge. Obviously, Marjan Beauchamp getting more work with the Wisconsin Herd in the last couple of days. Marjan Beauchamp getting those opportunities earlier in the season. So far as well, it's not as though he's completely fallen off the face of the earth. I know people will point to the DNPs, but what if I were to tell you Marjan Beauchamp has actually been playing more for the season as a whole than Andre Jackson? And speaking of, Andre Jackson and the boost that he has given you, and that shot in the arm with his energy and defense. So you've mingled in some of these younger players as well. The point being, there has been a lot of change, and maybe it may not be 50% of your player personnel being new, but it's still a lot. 40% of your starting lineup is new. Your coach is new. The entire staff, save for Josh Oppenheimer and Vin Baker, are new as well. And with that brings new schemes, new verbiage, new styles of play. It's been a whole lot of change. And as we've pointed out a number of times, there is no magic number of, well, once you reach X amount of games, things change and you're different. People may point to 20 games, 30 games, whatever it is. It's a different figure for every single team and every single player, that there is no magic number for chemistry and what it takes to gel as a team, as a pair, as a trio, whatever it is. But I keep mentioning it wasn't until that final game before the All-Star break in 2021 when it really started to seem like, all right, this team is trending in the right direction. Some of that unspoken communication appears to be there. It appears that chemistry may not be fully baked in, but it's getting there. And that was the game where you started to feel pretty good about what you were seeing. That was a game winner by Drew Holiday against the Memphis Grizzlies. I can still remember it clear as day, with Drew Holiday hitting that baseline jumper to seal it. And that sent you into the All-Star break. I mention all of this because, again, we are coming up very quickly upon the All-Star break. We're 3 weeks away from the trade deadline. We're about 4 weeks away from the All-Star break here. And as fate would have it, guess who the Bucks' final opponent is in this first half of the schedule, the unofficial half, because we're already at the midway point now with 41 games played. But wouldn't you know it, the team that the Bucks will play going into the All-Star break this season is the Memphis Grizzlies. 855-616-1620, the number to join us today on Bucks Shootaround. We'll take a look back at what was a rather forgettable night in Cleveland against the Cavaliers, and a look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, because there are two teams that we have mentioned more than anyone so far this season in the Eastern Conference in terms of Bucks fans, that we have mentioned them, and we saw both of them play last night, and one of them just continues to roll. We'll get into that conversation after this on Bucks Shootaround.
3.5 to 3.9% real estate commission. You can't find a lower rate of commission, and you won't be able to find better knowledge, service, and real estate expertise than you'll find with our agents at Benefit Realty. Because I know that's what you expect. Now, I'm not sure you'll be able to find the highest caliber of agents everywhere, but I can promise that's what you'll get here. So choose Benefit Realty to exceed your expectations, and you'll pay less for more. This is Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where you pay less for full service. Benefit-realty.com. Whether you're an active or passively active home shopper, our agents want you to be completely up to date with what's out there and what's brand new to the market. With our instant emailed MLS updates, you'll never miss out on what could be the home of your dreams. All you have to do is call and tell us where to search, give us a price range, and soon you'll be totally in tune with your desired real estate market. Remember, MLS searches show you everything. Some of the other real estate sites don't. So call Benefit Realty today, where you'll pay less for full service. Benefit-realty.com.
Hey, this is WTMJ's Steve Scavini for the Bath Authority. If your bath or shower is old, outdated, has mold and mildew, or broken tiles, you got to call my friends at the Bath Authority. The Bath Authority provides the highest quality bathroom remodeling products, along with a world-class customer experience. Find out for yourself. Elevate your bathroom to a new level of luxury, style, and safety. Schedule your free in-home estimate today and get $1,000 off a new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. TheBathAuthority.com. A better bath awaits.
There's a reason people sold to Grandview Homes instead of using a real estate agent.
We needed to sell Mom's home quickly and with a company we could rely on.
No showings, no closing costs, no added stress.
Visit GrandviewHomes.com to discover the easiest and fastest way to sell a home.
Celebrate a birthday, anniversary, or retirement this week with a free dinner at the historic Fox and Hounds restaurant near Holy Hill. Buy one dinner, get one free, 7 nights a week. Google Fox and Hounds restaurant and enjoy your free dinner.
Buck Shootaround continuing here on WTMJ as we lead you up to the Bucks and the Detroit Pistons. Yes, if you have just tuned in now, yes, the Bucks play in 45 minutes in Detroit. A 2 o'clock tip time in this baseball-style series with the Pistons. So Bucks and Pistons today at 2 o'clock Central Time, and they'll cap off this series on Monday in Detroit. And then the Bucks return to Milwaukee for the same type of setup with the Cleveland Cavaliers for games Wednesday and Friday here in Milwaukee. So it is 5 straight games for the Bucks against the Central Division. I believe those 2 against the Cavaliers next week. I believe the likelihood is still very much high that you will not see the duo that we have missed in the last 3 matchups with the Cavaliers in Evan Mobley and Darius Garland, as they are both dealing with some long-term injuries and issues here. But it certainly had no impact in that game on Wednesday night. When start to finish, it was not pretty for the Bucks. You did not have Giannis, but it was a very slow start, to say the least, with the Bucks scoring 2 of the first 24 points of the game. 22-2 start to the game for the Cavaliers, and I've seen some people say, well, it was over from there. It certainly wasn't the tone setter that you wanted, but let's not forget the Bucks made that an 8-point game late in the first quarter. It was ultimately a 10-point margin going into that second quarter, but it wasn't as though the Bucks fell behind by 20 and then the lead just kept building minute after minute. They had one other spurt in them, made it 8, but once the Cavaliers pushed that margin back up to 20 in the second quarter, it was 25 at halftime. It seemed to sit at about 20 the rest of the way until that thing eventually very much ballooned in the second half, and ultimately a 40-point loss. One of those games that is certainly not good for the net rating, defensive rating, any of it, as we continue to monitor that and track that, and where the Bucks line up so far this season. Because, again, I'm going to continue to make this point. I don't believe this to be cherry picking. We have spun so many numbers out there for this Bucks team as of November 3rd. And for those uninitiated, November 3rd, the date when Brook Lopez moved back towards the basket and played back in that familiar drop position for this defense. And up until around the week of Christmas, those numbers looked pretty darn good as of November 3rd. Now, the week of Christmas, we saw the Bucks start to lose the rope a little bit, and that first week of January, they completely let go of the rope, and it looked that same way on Wednesday night. But for as often as we have pointed to the November 3rd onward numbers, I do think the big change that you're probably going to see for the remainder of this season is those numbers that we have pointed to. It is very likely that instead of November 3rd, we're going to start saying January 17th. And although that starts with an ugly loss, maybe we'll start with the 18th. But the date that Jay Crowder returned. So how the Bucks looked with Jay Crowder back, with Andre Jackson Jr. continuing to find some of those minutes, with Giannis and Damian Lillard, the chemistry may not be fully baked, but it's certainly much better than it was those first 10 games of the season when you did have Jay Crowder. So January, mid-January is probably that next target date that we're going to continue to point to of how this Bucks team has looked. And look, offensively, there is very little to complain about. As the season as a whole here, 41 games of basketball, the Bucks still have the second-rated offense in the league, less than 1 point per 100 possessions behind the top-rated Indiana Pacers, though it is going to be interesting to see how much that number grows for the Pacers with the addition of Pascal Siakam earlier in the week. But still, The Bucks with a 120.5 offensive rating. That would be the top offensive rating in the history of the NBA if it were not for that 121.4 figure of the Indiana Pacers. But defensively is where the issues have persisted, and right now the Bucks have a 116.8 defensive rating. That is tied with the Portland Trail Blazers for 23rd in the NBA. We've pointed to having a league average defense, and the template that the Denver Nuggets put out there, or many think they put out there, was you got to be elite in one of these areas and just be better than league average or right around league average in the second area, with the emphasis on finding ways to get better there in the playoffs. That's what Denver did. They finished the season a year ago with a 15th rated defense, but a very, very good offense. But that defense was playing much better as they moved into the postseason, something the Bucks are going to be striving for here, and it got a lot better as the playoffs went on. That was their recipe for success. That is what the Bucks are pointed to as well. But again, 22nd, 23rd defensive rating, that is not going to cut it. They are in the top 10 in net rating and offensive rating, but in the bottom 10 in defensive rating, an area that clearly needs to improve. That's the season as a whole. You take out the first 4 games of the season and go to that November 3rd date. The Bucks are third best in offense at 121.3, trailing the Thunder and the Pacers. The defense marginally better at 116.5 rating. That is 17th in the NBA, tied with the Phoenix Suns for 16th there, but a little bit of a gap between those two teams, the Clippers and the Bulls, but you're at least moving closer to that target range that you look to be in. We'll get you set for tip-off in Detroit, the Bucks and the Pistons. It's the first of 2 in the Motor City. We'll get you set for tip-off after this on Bucks Shootaround.
This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. The Energy Star ratings for windows are getting a lot tougher to get the tax credit, so you're going to want to take advantage of. Fortunately, we still have options that will qualify you for those tax credits. Now, I can sit here and talk benefits of this product or what's great about that product. So can everybody else. But what a lot of operations can't do is, with complete confidence, stand behind the crew that's going to be on that next job. Talk is cheap, I get it, but our people are exceptional. How do I know? Because me and Vito handpick every single person that makes our team. Some make the cut, a lot don't. And that's why you can be confident that the windows we install for you will be top quality, installed right, and that you're going to get great service. And that's never failed us. So for your home's new windows, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Ring in the new year with the ultimate timeless gift, a diamond from Diamonds Direct. Whether you're ready to pop the question or celebrating a lifetime of love in 2024, Diamonds Direct can make this New Year's one to remember forever. Diamonds Direct is the area's destination for exquisite diamonds in all shapes and sizes, and our nationwide price guarantee ensures you'll get the best value, period. To showcase that spectacular diamond, we have literally thousands of designer settings from all the top names like Tacori, Verragio, Simon G, A. Jaffe, and many more. And our experts will guide you every step of the way with the education you want and the respect you deserve. Engagement rings, wedding bands, eternity bands, fashion rings. At Diamonds Direct, we specialize in the ultimate symbol of love, and we welcome the opportunity to celebrate with you. So start the new year with some new excitement, new hope, and some new bling. Diamonds Direct on Mayfair Road in front of Mayfair Mall. Proud to call Milwaukee home. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Now, more of Buck Shootaround on WTMJ.
Justin Garcia back here with you on Bucks Shootaround as we get set for the Bucks and the Pistons. So again, Thursday marked 3 weeks away from the trade deadline, and it also marked 4 weeks out from the end to the unofficial first half of the season. Again, the Bucks have played 41 games, so they're midway through the season, but we always mark things with the All-Star break, which is really the first 2/3 of the season. I mentioned where the Bucks were in 2021 when it really felt like right around the All-Star break is when they started to find their footing and find their groove. And that All-Star break that year, because remember, that was the 72-game season that came months after the bubble wrapped up. The Bucks started their first game, I believe it was December 22nd, somewhere around there. It was right around Christmas Day in Boston against the Celtics. Jason Tatum banks in a game winner over Giannis on the wing there to start the season for a victory, with the victory for the Boston Celtics. But everything got pushed back. The finals ended in July that year. The All-Star break did not come until March. And it was the Bucks going to Memphis, beating the Grizzlies on a game winner from Drew Holiday, 112-111. At the time of that game, the Bucks were 35 games into a 72-game season. So that was purely midway through the season. It was game number 36 that the Bucks had played. With that win, they were 22-14. This team right now is 28-13. They have won a lot of these games on talent. But again, it is going to get very difficult in that second half of the season with the way that this schedule picks up. But that game in Memphis, you had the winner from Drew Holiday. Everything just started to look a lot better. You go into the All-Star break at 22-14, and coming out of the All-Star break, the Bucks tacked on 7 more wins, capped with one over the Boston Celtics. So all told, it was an 8-game win streak. It pushed the Bucks up to 29-14. They lost 3 straight coming out of that win streak, but really much different team. There was a lot more inconsistency. That was league-wide that season. You just felt like you were starting to see more and more of those signs of this is the team we assumed they would be. You were at exactly the midpoint of the season when that occurred. And again, the final game in that period on the road in Memphis against the Grizzlies to go into the All-Star break. Right now, the Bucks are at exactly the midpoint of their season. We're 4 weeks away from the All-Star break, but again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, as fate would have it, that final game for the Bucks going into the break is in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Today, you don't want to overinflate 1 out of 82 games, but as you'll hear some of the commentary from Adrian Griffin and some of the questions, this is one of those important games just to see a much different version of the team than we saw a couple of days ago in Cleveland against the Cavaliers. The Celtics did lose last night, so as the Bucks open up play today, they're 3.5 games back of Boston, 3 back in the loss column. You win today, it's 3 games that you're behind the Celtics. 76ers won as well, beating the Orlando Magic. And right now, Philly is tied with the Bucks in the loss column. I've mentioned that schedule and how much it picks up for the Bucks. They have, at last check, the 8th most difficult schedule remaining from this point forward. The Celtics have the 2nd easiest remaining schedule, and the Philadelphia 76ers are in the top 10 as well in terms of ease of schedule remaining. So those head-to-head games are going to loom very large going forward, but that's one of the bigger challenges the Bucks are going to be facing in the second half of the season here, and really from this point forward is not only continuing to find that growth and get better, but you're going to have to do it against a markedly more difficult schedule, especially in March. We're moments away from our pregame coverage and eventually tip time in Detroit. And as a reminder, be sure to stick around after the game for Bucks Talk as we take your thoughts on this game in Detroit. We'll talk to you afterwards on Bucks Talk, but Bucks and the Pistons comes your way after this.
Just like the Milwaukee Bucks, Coakley Brothers has developed into a world-class national player. We perform office work for clients